Hey everyone, it's Alex, and welcome to this Marvel Snap new card release review where we're talking about Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross, the latest card to enter the Spotlight caches in Marvel Snap. And talking about Spotlight cache is something very important you need to know. It has been announced that coming in March, we will get that big series drop that was alluded to. Now, that big series drop is going to include Nebula, which is going to take Nebula from Series 4 to Series 3, meaning that you can unlock Nebula for free along your collection track. Also meaning that she's in the Spotlight caches right now with Blink, and will basically catch a stray if you roll for Thunderbolt Ross, and you can unlock the card free later on. So Thunderbolt Ross, Nebula, and Blink are the Spotlight caches, and the way you resolve this problem is you don't roll. This week is so skippable, and it's not because Thunderbolt Ross is bad. I mean, he's not great. Like I came in at like 1.52 stars originally, and maybe he's like a 2.5 star card, maybe a 3-star card. He's better than I expected, honestly, but he's not a good card. He's not necessary. He feels so replaceable at even the decks where he's performing decently in, so you don't need him. I'm not even going to say wait till the end of the week to decide how the win rates are. Just skip the card. Don't even worry about it. There's no reason to invest in this week. So you hold your caches, hold your keys, hold your tokens. Actually, you should be in horde mode for your tokens, because when everything drops in March, like, you should be able to better decide if some Series 4 cards are worth your tokens. You're going to have a bunch of free cards in Series 3s. You should not be spending tokens, especially on Thunderbolt Ross. It's not to say, though, that the card wasn't okay. I actually came away kind of impressed with a couple of the synergies that were available, and a couple of the decks performed surprisingly well. It's not a bad card. It's not a great card. It's not a card that I feel like you should be chasing with your resources, especially considering the circumstances around the series drops. So, Thunderbolt Ross, I came away a little impressed, but also not impressed enough to recommend him, because quite frankly, he's very skippable. But let's talk about a couple decks here that honestly, I came away kind of impressed with. Now, naturally, he had a place in Surtur. There's no question about it. Surtur was using cards like Iron Patriot and others to kind of allow that early game to at least get started, while really wanting to rely on that late game starting from turn 3 Surtur onward. The nice thing about this deck is that I thought to myself, you know what, if I use Sam Wilson instead of something like an Iron Patriot, I can use Cull Obsidian, which gets drawn by Thunderbolt Ross, and suddenly, because the Captain America's out there, it guarantees that with the shield that Cull Obsidian can at least go somewhere, and I can even move the shield to guarantee the play with Cull Obsidian as well. Arrow was worth playing here as opposed to Ares. Ares, it's unfortunate, and this is where Thunderbolt Ross might actually find itself kicked out of this deck. I'll have to see what statistics look like overall, but Ares gets cut from this deck, and Arrow comes in instead, or Red Hulk in this case instead, because Ares is a 6 cost, so 6 power, so it never gets drawn by Thunderbolt Ross, and the cards that do get drawn by Thunderbolt Ross weaken the dueling capability of Ares, and so it's like this double-edged sword. You don't draw Ares, and Ares becomes weaker because you're drawing out your deck. So, Ares gets cut. Red Hulk I included in this deck because I thought Red Hulk was really good for the simple reason, and surprise, surprise, Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross and Red Hulk synergize very well. Because the way it works is when you play Thaddeus, if you draw a card, or even if you draw Red Hulk, they've skipped energy, and that Red Hulk, even if you've drawn him in hand, will actually gain the buff, which is kind of cool. So it's like this double punishment, and it makes sense because Thaddeus is the Red Hulk, and so it makes perfect sense that they would work together. So I came away kind of impressed with this, and the shell honestly worked really well. Surtur's good. It'll continue to be good. Yeah, I almost like the Ares version better, honestly, because I didn't think drawing into this stuff was that hard. It almost guaranteed Scar if it did proc once or twice, but that was cool. You always want your Scar, of course, but Surtur as a whole is just great, right? It's just a great archetype, and so this makes it good. It's another piece for it if you're looking for that. Now, where I came away really impressed and surprisingly impressed, now I'm not going to cope and say, oh, this is a great deck and you should play it, but honestly, Thunder Evil was better than I expected. Guaranteeing to draw into like Cull Obsidian, She-Hulk, or Hulk is pretty meaningful. Similar to Red Hulk, having the Hulk in the hand when you are floating energy is beneficial with Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross, because it only gains the power if it's in the hand or in the field of play, and so if it's in your deck, it doesn't gain the floated power. Moreover, thinning the deck is useful, and I found that Luna Snow as a 3/6 was absolutely insane in this shell, and although I ran Magic, I actually think I could cut Magic and run just Luna Snow, because I don't need turn 7 to get the free Hulk and She-Hulk out if you have the Luna Snow out with the Ice Cube. And most importantly, with something like a Chimera, the Ice Cube is protected from being destroyed if you end up buffing it with the Misty Knight or whatever, right? If you don't have, Cap or whatever, Nebula is actually ironically a very good fill-in for this deck. But ultimately, I came away kind of impressed with how this deck played. We gained rank. We had a great win rate. Like, it was surprisingly good. But High Evo still feels like it has its problems, right? But I came away at least hoping that High Evo might have its time in the sun once again. Now, with regards to Arishem, Arishem's interesting because I think that it's overall good. And part of that is because on turn 3, you get to play your Doom 2099 and you get to start clapping cheeks. Now, interestingly enough, Arishem struggles with the fact that the deck is diluted. And so Quinjets and Thunderbolt Rosses, you know, you can struggle to draw them, unless of course you're against me, then you draw it every time. But overall, I came away impressed with what Arishem was capable of doing from a power perspective. And it's unfortunate, I mean, it's not, but it's also unfortunate that Alioth is a 6/9 because it was a 6/10. This deck would be absolutely cracked with Thunderbolt Ross because Alioth is a key card into disrupting your opponent's plays. But overall, it was just good. It just played well. It's just a good Alioth deck, right? Having all that extra power is meaningful here, and even Nick Fury felt really good here. But overall, Thaddeus Ross, I almost never drew him. I never drew him when I wanted, so I don't know if he's a great addition to the Ares shell, but I mean, he doesn't hurt, right? There's something you want to play something on turn 1, 2, and whatever. And so if you have Quinjet Thunderbolt Ross, it's snapping. You're snapping on those cards, right? Especially if you're playing Arishem. So it was good here. It had a place. It had a place at the very least. Now, with regards to Thunderbolt Ross and Hela, which was a thing that a lot of people were particularly interested in, this, I believe, is Dara's deck. He was trying to design and figure something out alongside Hela, and it's a lot of fun to play and check out. But it makes me wonder, though, right? Like, Hela's a 6/9, so you're basically thinning your deck, hoping to draw into Hela, and that actually works pretty well, because if you play Thunderbolt Ross on 2, and then you draw something like a Death or an Infinite, then you pump it with the Sif or whatever, like, that actually works, right? The other thing worth noting here is that it brings back Hellcow, especially with the Hela, because this is a much more classic way to play Hellcow Hela. Obviously, the way the activate synergy works is kind of perfect there. But most importantly, this deck can afford to give up something in the 2 slot to play Thaddeus Ross, so it makes sense that it would be there. Ultimately, time will tell if Hela becomes more consistent enough to warrant playing Thunderbolt Ross or warrant playing at all. The recent rework of Hela has made it a little more awkward to play, but at the same time has given it a much more clear direction of what the deck building expectations are. And so as a result, we're still kind of figuring out, and Hela just might make a comeback eventually because, hey, there's new cards coming out every week in Marvel Snap, and eventually the perfect list of perfect different costs and different powers and everything are going to come together to make an ideal Hela deck. So keep an eye out on that. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoy these gameplay highlights. All right, we got Thaddeus here. Bar with no name. That's not that fun. A little unfortunate. Uh-oh.
Friendly neighborhood Spider-Man here.
Okay. I guess if you're going to play Spider-Man, you may as well play it like that so it doesn't end up in the Bar with no name. Wow, Subterranea gameplay. That's incredible. Incredibly disappointing, of course. I think you're going to put Surtur here. No! How dare you? That prevents us from getting the synergy with Scar, believe it or not. That's going to prevent us from getting legitimate synergy here. I'm going to go with Tuma. Okay. We're drawing cards. Skill Obsidian. Unfortunately, the shield's not moving. Could play a rock, but that's kind of crazy. Let's get the rock down here. If they do some sort of toxic card, we could potentially win with the rock getting hit. Well, that's sad. Not that it's too consequential, but a little sad nonetheless. It's all move cards. Magneto pulls cards.
I wouldn't.
Magneto.
We are the future.
Easy 8. Easy 8. That's how it's done. You have to open up with the Quinjet. Well, we'll move that out eventually, right? We've never had Sam Wilson once while playing Arishem, by the way. Okay, that's kind of helpful. Thank you for that. Milling a Arishem deck, not really the... Oh my gosh, that's disgusting. I mean, obviously Mockingbird loves it, but...
Always lucky.
Always lucky. I think they will never expect me to bear Mockingbird mid. I should snap it. I don't want to. Ooh, okay. Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross. This might be overkill. But let's see. Because like we want it, like just the bear should be enough to win here. Yeah, okay, so I could have held Mockingbird. Okay. Red Hulk, baby. That's exactly what you want to see from Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross. And we'll just drop the Red Hulk, honestly. There's a chance they kick that over. Block us off. We can play it. Yeah, this deck does run Killmonger. And if they play Killmonger, then fine. They have to open up the space. I still have the Bear and Mockingbird out. They'll blow up Quinjet. They'll generate space for me. It's like the Killmonger death package. Well, now they're playing their demon out. So Killmongering the demon's kind of weird. They also just floated again. Wow. Thaddeus is literally feasting right now. This is crazy. So they skip this turn, right? Yeah, they're just done. They're done. I was going to say play Magneto there. They skip this turn. They try to do something fancy there. And then you just Goliath it. But even then, they're done. Wow. Thaddeus drawing all those cards completely was soul-shattering for them. The Brooklyn Bridge cannot play more than one turn. That's fine. We'll just throw Cap there. We don't even need to play there over and over again. Because we can just allow the pumping to occur thanks to the shield. Ooh. Oh my god. The Madam Web Ultimate. Look at this. You don't see that every day, friends. Do you want Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross? Of course you do. Yeah, Ares doesn't technically work well with Thunderbolt Ross. We could cut Ares for something like the... what's her name? Arrow? I almost called her Wind. I almost literally called her Wind. But check out that combo, by the way. Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross bringing the Red Hulk, right? Isn't that awesome? And then he gets the proc. That's sick. I like that. Play Skill Obsidian here. Let's play little movers, man. I respect it. Oh, Penny as well. It's a good deck, man. You can't argue. It is a good deck. Move this, play this mid. Throw Zabu down to fill their hand with garbage. I'm actually almost done Marvel Midnight Suns. I feel like I'm near the absolute end of the game. I'm still playing it. Spider on the Human Torch is so dirty. Of course it's Scar. Couldn't have been Red Hulk. Couldn't have been Ares. Had to have been Scar. Maybe we win? I don't know. Wait. Got him. We got him. And in theory, the Thaddeus drawing into the Red Hulk and getting the immediate buff was actually pretty cool. And also they're the same person, which is cool. So that was actually a neat like illustration of how the card works. Oh, we got subterranean gameplay. This is where Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross would be incredibly useful if we ever drew him. But of course, you know, as is the expectation, we draw other people's cards. We draw Andy's cards. As soon as I saw Andy, I'm like, we got some bot gameplay, but apparently it might not be. Andy going with the straight up standard borders. Playing down the rock like a rock. That's kind of silly, to be honest with you, because I can do something like my my Cyclops and give her a pump, right? Hey, that's my card. Thanks for playing a very valuable card for me. I sincerely appreciate that. I think I'm going to magic or storm this, because then I can just keep pew-pewing it. But I'm not going to pew-pew now. I'm going to do this. We're drawing rocks. Andy, what you got? What you got, Andy? Oh. That's actually good. How dare you? We got to pump it. The problem is you can play another one. I got Thaddeus. We got to pump. We got to pump and Thaddeus. It's the only option here. I knew that was coming. Had to be Iron Lad into Doom 2099, eh? Just gross gameplay, man. Still could win. Look at that. Thaddeus getting it done. Got the skill obsidian. Got that skill obsidian. You'll love to see it. Do we just full float this? I don't know if we full float this. Cull obsidian is basically the same power as She-Hulk, right? We pew-pew here. I can't believe in a game with Subterranea, he Iron Lads into Doom 2099. Can you guys believe that? That's the world we live in. We're going to go cap shield mid into Cull Obsidian, float for the pew-pews left. This doesn't look like a Spectrum list. It's not good. We're getting like the full combo off here, even though I had the Red Guardian, which is kind of frustrating. They're full there, which means pew-pews are going to get it done. They add 3 power there. This adds 2. We just win. They have initiative. We float pew-pew 13. They add 1 plus 3. We win. I'm not going to snap, but I would be surprised to lose Hulk mid here. It's a little late. Weird Legion play. Okay. Yep. There it is. Okay, cool. Thaddeus doing his thing. It's a good win.